Wait just a second. Morning, guys. I'm sorry I got cut off there for a minute. We'll just start over. I hadn't really started yet. I got a call.
You have a great smile, or you did a...
Morning, guys. Okay. How do I get rid of this? Try to get this off my face. All right. Well, I don't see... okay. How do I get rid of that? I gotta really learn this, guys. All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. All right. So my theme this morning is parenting 24/7. I had a situation this weekend, and it really kind of upset me because I really wanted to pull this parent aside and do all my parenting classes all at once. Okay, I was at CVS, and this mom, excuse me, this mom they were looking at potato chips, and mom's arms were full of stuff, the kid's arm was full of stuff, instead of getting a buggy, right? And she's like, grab the barbecue. And he's like looking, and he just doesn't see it. Well, he didn't know that there was a back side to the chip thing that she was talking about. She didn't say grab the barbecue chips on the other side. She just said grab the barbecue chips. And then because he didn't move fast enough, she hit him in the back of the head with another bag of chips that she had in her hand and said, grab the barbecue chips. And he goes, I don't see the barbecue chips. And she goes, it's on the back side. Why couldn't she tell him that to start with, right? So he goes and he grabs the barbecue chips on the back side. Well, she hit him hard enough that it hurt, okay? And he didn't look maybe more than 8 or 9, maybe, because little boys seem to look a little bit younger. But anyway, so he's crying, and he's like, Mom, that really hurt. And he's trying to tell her, look, please don't hit me with the chips again. You know, just tell me where the chips are, is basically what he was saying in his own kid words, okay? But he wasn't actually saying the words. He was crying and saying, that hurt. And the mom was like, oh, knock it off. It didn't hurt that bad. And I really, guys, it was all I could do not to go over there, grab a bag of chips, and whack her up on the back of the head with a bag of chips to see if it hurt. Okay? He's 8. Okay? And the way she handled it was not a parent. It was like a child would have done. Okay? And so he's crying. He's like, I'm sorry, it hurt. And he's apologizing for crying. Okay? And I get it. You don't want your boys to be crybabies. Okay? I get that. But you don't need to hit them upside the head either. So I'm sitting there and I'm getting angrier and I'm getting angrier. And I'm thinking, man, I want to say something so bad. And I didn't. I held my tongue. Well, sort of held my tongue. Because he couldn't stop crying and he's wiping his tears away and it wasn't fast enough for her, she made him put the toys that she had bought for him back. And I thought, well, that's not fair. Not fair at all. Okay? And I don't know. I just really felt like that's a parent that's a bully. Okay, I'm sorry. I would label that parent a bully. Okay? One, I really wanted to grab a bag of chips and hit her upside the head with it. See if it hurt. Because she hit him hard. I'm surprised she didn't bust the bag of chips. Okay? It wasn't just like one of those small bags of chips. It's one of those big party-size bags of chips, right? My thing is, I see parents every day who are more like bullies than they are actual parents, okay? Then I've also seen the parents that are their best friend. You don't want to be their best friend. You've got to create a boundary of what a parent is, what a friend is, we don't want bullied parents. We don't want parents to be bullies, okay? And unfortunately, our society is raising nothing but bullies and parents who don't know how to be parents because they weren't parented themselves. Okay, I don't know how many counseling sessions I have gone on where they want me to change their children. Unfortunately, I can't change their children. Only thing I can do is teach them how to change how they do things in hopes to change how their children respond. Okay? So that's where the couches come in at. That's where teaching chore charts and teaching responsibilities, and that also teaches the parents to actually be parents. Okay? Parents, you've got to be parents 24/7. Even when you're sick, even when you're at work, you're a parent. Okay? When I have a rule that no matter what, if my phone rings and it's my family, if I'm not in court or I'm not in the middle of a meeting, and I let them know before I go in, I'm going to be in a meeting. It may take me an hour, 2 hours tops. If you need to get a hold of me, text me, because I won't be able to use my phone. Okay, so I let my family know. Okay, that's being a parent. Okay, that's letting them know that I'm still here for them, but I'm not able to actually talk to them. And then when I'm at home, okay, I don't get to have me time, though I do take me time. There's a difference here. You've got some parents who will work all day, come home, scream and yell from their me time chair, okay, and doing their little video games. I mean, parents grow up, video games, I get it, but every single day and 24/7, come on. If you can give more attention to a video game than your own kids, you need to get rid of the video game, okay? Your kids come before anything else. That means your phones. It's time to grow up, guys. It's time to be actual parents, okay? And it's not easy. It's not, parenting is not fun sometimes. Parenting is very hard. You know, you have these kiddos, teenagers, oh, I want to have a baby. And I tell them, oh, you want to have a baby, really? Well, you get to come watch my kiddo for the weekend and see how much you want a baby after that, okay? And then I think I'm going to wait. Why? Because it's hard work. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3, boom, I'm going to pop out a baby and magically everything is going to be okay. No, children are hard work. Children have different personalities. You've got to deal with anger, fear, crying, hunger, poops. You got to feed them. There's so much to parenting, okay? We all know this if we've been parents. But these kiddos, a lot of the CPS really focuses in on young parents that make mistakes. Why? Because they get distracted, their kiddos get outside, and I don't know how many cases I've had where the kiddos' mom went to go take a nap, left the kids unattended. She thought the gate would hold them. The gate didn't hold them, okay? And they got outside, and then CPS shows up with the cops. Why? Oh, you're a very bad parent because your kids got out. You're a parent that needs to learn some things, but it doesn't make you a terrible parent. You just need to learn what being a parent is, okay? You've got to watch your children. You got to make sure your door is locked where a 4-year-old can't climb out. I mean, you have to anticipate your children, okay? I have an autistic son, and I'm learning this the hard way, okay? He is the most brilliant little boy I think I've ever met, okay? He can solve any problem. And when he's doing this, you better look around and find out what he's trying to figure out, because this means when he's doing this, he's calculating, he's figuring things out, and I'm sitting there going, oh no, what is he trying to figure out now? Because he's the smartest little boy I think. We had at one point 6 gates up. We had the front door, had 4 locks on it. I'm telling you guys, children are the most problem-solving and creative I think I've ever met, okay? And, you know, it's funny, but it's not funny. They can be actually dangerous sometimes because they keep us on our toes, okay? My son thinks he can fly. Literally, he thinks he can fly. Well, he's autistic. He has literally, from the day he stood up in his crib, broke 3 cribs from jumping, okay? And trust me, the times that he's awake, I'm awake. Why? Because I'm being a parent. Because I don't know if he's going to be able to get out. And I don't want to take that chance, okay? Because he's nonverbal and he's always trying to, get outside. He loves the outdoors, and we take him outside, don't get me wrong. But I have to anticipate that if he wakes up at 2 in the morning, he's not going to try to get outside. So when he's awake, I'm awake, okay? Because it's a safety issue if I'm not awake, when he's awake. So that's being a parent. I lose a lot of sleep. Yes, I do. Okay. Can you guys see me okay? It seems kind of dark this morning on the... Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Block your doors from the inside. We did that for a while, too. And he's so strong, he could move the couches. He can literally lift over 100 pounds over his head, and he's 42 pounds. My little 3-year-old is the strongest little boy you'll ever meet. Okay? It just amazes me how strong he is. So, parenting is thinking in the, problem solving in advance. Okay? Some germ with my 15-year, please. Some. Patty, I'm sorry. I don't understand what you just said. Some. Oh, same here. When. Oh. Yeah. They get out, and then what does it look like? It looks like you're a bad parent. No, you're not. You tried everything. You tried locks. You tried putting chairs in front of the door. We've tried 6 gates. We've tried. Trust me. I know. I've been there. Been in that situation. And the problem is, I asked the CPS worker, what would you do? What would you do in that situation? How would you prevent it? Okay? I think I've taken every measure I possibly can, right? Besides sleeping in front of his bedroom door. Why? Because he'd have to climb over me first before he got outside. And I've done that a couple times. I've been so tired, so exhausted, that I will have to sleep in front of his bedroom door just so. And he has one of those nursery doors where the top is open and the bottom is closed, because he will literally stack everything in front of his door to try to climb out. So I have to anticipate what a possibility could happen. Why? Because I want to be a good parent. But does it mean that I'm going to not make mistakes? Absolutely, I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm learning. I don't know how many times I've pulled other parents aside and say, look, I'm struggling with this. I see you have an autistic son. Did you struggle with this? What did you do? Why? Because we learn from each other. Okay, we have to learn from each other. Okay, that's what parenting does, is we help each other out here. But here's the thing, guys. I don't like putting my kids in daycare. Our society is so messed up these days that I'm scared to death to put my kid anywhere in daycare or anything that doesn't have cameras. Why? Because, one, he can't express himself. He's nonverbal, so I don't know if somebody's going to mistreat him or not. I check his body. When he comes home from preschool, I check his body, make sure he doesn't have bruises and stuff. Why? Because they won't let me go to his classroom. I don't like that. I don't like it when I can't go to his classroom and stuff. And that one day they told me I couldn't go to his classroom, guess where I was? I walked straight to his classroom. Well, you're not going to tell me I can't go see my son, okay? That's not okay. He's my son, not yours. And so I said, I won't disturb the class, but I am going to peek in on him. It was like the second day of school. I had to see him. I just needed to know that he was okay. Okay? So, and I didn't disturb the class. I just peeked in to make sure he was doing okay. But the thing is, guys, parenting is 24/7. That means you're going to lose sleep. Okay? You're going to lose the sleep. You're going to have to go around the schedule of your children. You're going to have to teach your children. Actually, I try to teach parents not to be yellers. Okay? Actually be a parent. If your children aren't doing what you ask them to do, okay, say for example, they won't get out of bed, and you've screamed and yelled on the top of your lungs, does that work? No, it doesn't. So you go in there and you stand there and say, look, the bus comes at 8:15. Breakfast is ready. If you don't get to eat breakfast running out the door, okay? So teaching them consequences, natural consequences, okay? Say, okay, and then just stand there. Okay, so you getting them up at 8 o'clock. It's 8:01. It's 8:02, and you're irritating the fire out of them because you're not letting them sleep, okay? It's 8:03, and you're irritating them, okay? But you're not laying your hands on them. You're not screaming at them. You're not yelling at them. You're just reminding them what time it is. Oh, you better hurry up. You're going to miss breakfast. My mom, what she would do, There's a Patch the Pirate song. Oh, I hated this song. Oh my God. It's like the crack of dawn or something like that. Rise and shine, lazy sleepyhead. And we had till the end of the song to have our feet on the floor or we wouldn't have breakfast that morning. Okay. So I think the song was about 2 minutes and 34 seconds long. But the beginning of the song was this big, huge crack like that. And the second I heard that, I was like, oh. And I'm trying to get my feet out from under the blankets because I want breakfast that morning. So I'm trying to get my feet out from under the blanket. Why? Because I want my feet on the floor by the time the end of that song is, because we wouldn't get breakfast in the morning if I didn't have my feet on the floor. Because we had chores to do. We had chickens and horses and all kinds of animals that we had to take care of before we went to school in the morning. So my mom was like, that stupid song, Crack of Dawn, Rise and Shine. And I hated that song, and it would be so loud, and my mom would make it so loud. And she would just stand there. She wouldn't say a word. Wouldn't say a word. I'm like, I'll get my feet out. I'll get my feet out. My brother and I hated that song. Okay? There's different things that you can do to help your children. But you need to allow them to make choices. Okay? So they miss breakfast. Why? Well, they get that little hunger pain. They remind them in the next morning to, hey, get out of bed. Why? Because I don't want to miss breakfast. It's a natural consequence of not getting out of bed and being late. Okay? You've got to teach your kids that there's responsibilities. Okay? If that means that you have to change things up and do things differently, that's okay. That means that you're being a good parent, that you're realizing some things just don't work. Now, I have some parents that when I tell them this, they kind of like scratch their head and go, you know, I've never thought about that. I'm going to tell you a little secret. You remember how I told you at the beginning of this video how children, you know, can problem solve? Okay, so as they get older, if you have the same punishment for everything, say spankings or the same, you know, grounding, the same, you know, you can't have TV or the ground, you know, parents have the same punishment, okay, for everything. You do something and it's the same punishment for everything. The problem with that, though, and here's the problem, a lot of teenagers, once they get to be a teenager, you know what they're doing? If I do this, and they know it's wrong, okay, well, the punishment's only this, 2 weeks of grounding. Is it worth it? Oh, yeah, it's worth it. I can handle 2 weeks of grounding, okay? So they'll do the crime, all right, and then expect 2 weeks of grounding. Well, what if you switch that up and they didn't get 2 weeks of grounding? They got something a little bit more serious, okay? So that's why I tell parents, the punishment shouldn't be the same thing every time. Why? Because when they're sitting there trying to figure out, is doing the crime worth the time, they're going, I don't know what my parents are going to come up with. If I do this, they may actually want to really, really punish me. So I don't know that I really want to sacrifice what my punishment's going to be. Okay, so be creative in that. You got a potty mouth to clean the toilets. Now remember, I was head house parent for 30 girls and 15 boys. If you were a potty mouth and you had to clean the potties, there was like 15 toilets they had to clean. Okay, so they watched their language. Okay, there was different things. Be creative in your discipline. Why? Because they will weigh whether or not they can do the crime. Because if you have the same crime, the same punishment each time, they'll be like, oh, it's nothing. It's no big deal. And they may do some really wild stuff thinking that, oh, you're just going to give them 2 weeks grounding. And what does 2 weeks grounding mean? And so think about that. Think about why you have different consequences for different things. Why? Because sometimes their natural consequence is way severe than something you could ever come up with. Okay? So parenting 24/7 is the key in being good parents. You have to anticipate what your children are going to come up with. You have to be ready for those times that they do something. Instead of being shocked, you're ready for it. Okay? You're ready for dealing with certain behaviors. Trust me. You got the terrible twos. You've got, and they say the terrible twos. Why? Because they're testing their limits. The terrible twos is not really the terrible twos. What it is the twos are trying to test the parents whether or not they can and can't do. Okay, they've learned that, hey, if I act out and do this and do that, they play their parents like little fiddles. Okay, they're not terrible twos. I'm going to see what I can do. What am I going to get away with? How do I get to, yeah, terrible twos are not that bad. I've had 6 children and we never had terrible twos. Why? Because before they reached the age of 2, they knew consequences, natural consequences, even at the age of 2. They knew that mommy doesn't give in to screaming and yelling. They don't get what they want just because they scream and yell. It just doesn't happen that way, guys. And you've got to, that's why the Bible calls it train your children. You train them. Well, actually, in our society today, our children are training us. Why? I see them at Walmart all the time. You tell them no, and they're screaming and they're pitching fits and they're throwing themselves on the ground. And I love it when I see those parents that just stand there and say, really? Because this doesn't get you what you want. In fact, you're not getting it at all. You're not getting anything with that kind of behavior. And everything that's in the buggy that was theirs, when they're pitching a fit like that and causing a scene, they don't get anything. My rule is you pitch a fit, you don't get. Okay, that's my rule. You pitch a fit, you don't get. And my kids knew that. You pitched a fit, you don't get it. And you don't get it later when you calm down. That's why. Because you're just being trained to give in both ways. The thing is, they pitched a fit. The consequences, they don't get. They don't get it. They don't get it a few days later. They don't get it. Say they want a new, video game. They don't get that video game. They pitched a fit like that. They don't ever get that video game. Maybe for Christmas, but it's a long ways away before they get that video game. Okay, you pitch a fit, you don't get. Okay, parents, you've got to stand your ground. Don't give in. And when they pitch a fit and you tell them you don't get, you don't let Papa go out, Grandpa or Grandma go out and get the game, because they go to Grandma and Grandpa and they come home and I got the game. What are they doing? They're basically putting in your face saying, you can't tell me what to do. So what are you supposed to do when Grandma and Grandpa do that? You have them turn around and give it back to Grandma and Grandpa and say, I pitched a fit, I don't get. Because you're the one raising your children, not Grandma and Grandpa. Okay? And not that Grandpa and Grandma can't leave it at their house, but your kid doesn't get to keep it. Okay? That's where being a parent is being a parent. Okay? They pitch a fit, they don't get. You come up with different consequences so that they don't sit there and weigh whether or not the consequences are something that they are willing to take for a crime that they do. I say crime. A lot of kiddos, especially teenagers, I'm going to sneak out of the house, I'm going to go to a drunken party, and my consequence is going to be 2 weeks of grounding. Really? Yeah, I would sneak out of the house and go to the party if all I got was 2 weeks grounding. See what I'm saying? So them weighing that, they're going to go do it anyways, guys. Okay, so you got to make the consequence fit what they do. Okay? And trust me, I've come up with some doozies. All right? But you don't want to bully your children. You want to teach them consequences. You want to teach them that life isn't fair. It isn't. Life isn't fair. Unfortunately, it isn't. And if you don't get them ready and prepared for adulthood to understand that things don't come on silver platters, that they have to work hard for what they get, you're going to have very selfish people when they become adults. They're going to be very, very selfish. So hang in there, guys. Parenting is not, I will not ever say parenting, there's a manual for parenting. Parenting is trial and error. There's great ideas and learning from each other. We're supposed to older teach the younger. And that's what I'm trying to do is, if you don't know how to do it, contact me. Let me walk you through it. Okay? The older doesn't necessarily mean age. Teach the younger. Why? Because we've got different things that we're dealing with these days. We've got drugs our kids are being tempted to take in schools. We've got philosophies being taught to our children that are just crazy. If I could homeschool my 6-year-old right now, I would. Absolutely, I would. But I can't right now. I intend to try to do it next year, though. But there's things out there our society is trying to teach our children, and we're trying to keep our children pure and teaching our children, morals and standards. And that's not our goal of our society. They're not trying to teach our children goals and morals and standards and stuff like that. And you need to teach your children that, okay? So parenting is hard. It's 24/7. You don't get to take a break from it. You don't get to say, once that child comes out of your belly, you're a parent for the rest of your life, okay? 24/7 you're a parent. Why? Because they depend on you. You are their main source of life at that point. And you've got to learn to communicate with them. You've got to learn to teach them and train them. There's a lot. And even as adults, they come to you. As I've got older children, and they come to me, why? For wisdom. They're learning something. They don't know how to do something. Something, is new. But because I taught them at a young age to ask for help, they're not ashamed to come and ask for help. Okay? So, and that's what you want. Okay, guys? All right, God bless you. I got to go. I've got some things I got to get done and get my kiddos ready for school. I got a sick youngin' this morning. We got to make some doctor's appointments. My husband's loving on her right now, trying to get her dressed for school. All right, guys, God bless you. If you have any questions, any concerns, any issues you'd like for me to talk about, I'd be happy to talk about it. God bless you, and you have a great morning.